Welcome back to another episode of Cloud Talk Live. All right, everybody. My name is Jeff DeVerter. I'm the Chief Technology Evangelist for us here at Rackspace Technology, and so glad that you are here. We're doing this a little bit different time, but we're trying to keep you on your toes. But I want to welcome you to Cloud Talk Live. As per normal, I would love for you to introduce yourselves in the comments, regardless of the platform you're on. I know there's a comment section, so go ahead and use it. Tell us who you are. Tell us where you are. Also, if you want to get a hold of us, give us a little feedback maybe on the show. You have ideas for another show. Maybe you want to be a guest on the show. Well, send us an email, solve@rackspace.com. And we'd love to hear from you. So we're excited for you to be a part of this conversation here today. We're going to dig pretty quickly into things with a quick reminder, though, that if we're not already best buddies over on LinkedIn, I would love for you to go find me there after the show. So I'm just /JDeverter. And then we can be best friends, and you can follow all of the shenanigans that goes on over here at Cloud Talk Live and all of the other things that we produce for you, like the podcast that comes out, well, about every other week at this point. We got a fresh one coming out, maybe even today if I get it posted from the airplane. Going out to a channel partner conference out in Las Vegas. Are you there? I'll be there for one day. One day. But if you subscribe to the podcast Cloud Talk, you'll be sure to get all the information that we've got that comes out not only on this live stream, but also over in for the dedicated content that we create. And we're starting, check this out, next Monday, starting a new series called CTO Roundtable. Got a bunch of field CTOs and official CTOs here at Rackspace. We're going to start bringing different folks together and having some pretty impactful conversations. The first one is going to be about, and maybe Ro and I will touch on this, is going to be all about code generation through AI. Should you do it? What's the best way to do it? How do you be successful with it? All right. Well, I've already teased my guest here today, and Rohit Talluri, and so excited that he is here and going to be a part of our conversation today. He's been over AWS for a good while, and I'm excited that he's here. So, Megan, let's bring Ro up on stage.
Jeff,
Ro, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, so glad to have you here. And you're just up the road. We should have found a way to meet in the middle. Maybe there was a Buc-ee's we could have done this from.
Exactly. I'll always love Buc-ee's, right? Yep. Based here in Austin, Texas.
That would have been a cultural experience. This tends to be a relatively global audience. Although they're a quiet group today. They haven't really popped in, but we have them from India, Europe, Africa, all over the place, South America, all over the place. So I think a Buc-ee's introduction might be in order.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Every time, every road trip, right?
Well, Ro, of course, the full name is Rohit, but everybody, I'm told, calls you Ro. So we'll be doing that for the rest of our day today. You work over at AWS. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the day in the life of Ro at AWS?
Yeah, Jeff. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. Really, really excited to be here and speak a little bit more about what I do and what AWS is doing in generative AI. Before I do that, though, I wanted to congratulate yourself and Rackspace for joining the AWS Generative AI Partner Competency last week. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And truly going to change a lot of the way that our customers are going to be able to work with generative AI. So appreciate you all, like the input there and the impact and what you're doing there.
Thanks so much. We're excited to be there and be one of that. You guys are one of our premier partners. That the word doesn't sound big enough. I mean, so much of our business is done in conjunction with you. I mean, I think it really does truly define the word partnership. Your deep technology, our expertise, helping companies adopt it. We're not here to sell Rackspace, but Rackspace and AWS together is a pretty sweet thing.
Yeah, it's a strong story, 100%.
Strong story. All right, now enough about me and about us.
Yeah,
Rohit, day in the life.
Yeah, so hey everyone, my name is Rohit Talluri. I go by Ro, as Jeff mentioned. I'm a generative AI go-to-market specialist here at AWS. And so, day in the life is a little interesting because in generative AI, everything changes pretty quickly, right? New innovations every day and the future of tomorrow, right? And so what I would say is, so my role is on our model training and inference team, specifically our go-to-market team that works with customers who are building models and training models on AWS and running those for inference on AWS. And so what's really fascinating is that we get to work with some of the best model providers, the top model providers in the world, and make their models available for customers all over the world through our platform.
Yeah.
One of the things, Jeff, I wanted to mention is one of the missions that I try to follow and AWS is following right now is democratizing generative AI for all types of builders. And what's really cool in this type of role that I'm in right now is working with all of these different model providers all over the world and then identifying and figuring out how are their models going to actually help all types of builders. And it's something that I'm really passionate about as well.
That's a really interesting role where you have the opportunity to get out and let's define for a second where because our audience is across the spectrum technically. So let's define in an AI stack. Where am I in the picture? In an AI stack, where does the model maybe define for everybody? Where does that play in the AI solution?
Yeah. So. And maybe I'll preface what I'm about to say too. I'll give some context. So at AWS, we have what's called the generative AI stack, the AWS generative AI stack. And that stack has 3 different layers. And I'll go through the entire stack quickly, and then I'll answer your question here. At the top of the stack, we have solutions and services that AWS is building, specifically end user applications that are going to help customers transform the way that they operate. And these applications, these services are powered by foundational models. And so things like Amazon Code Whisperer, Health Scribe, Amazon Q, QuickSights, and services like that allow enterprises in any type of business, to be honest, to be able to implement generative AI into their own application stack very quickly. In the middle of the stack is what we have services that we've built specifically for customers who are looking to build applications with foundational models. So a service like Amazon Bedrock, which we can get into, makes these models available over API. And then at the bottom of the stack, and really where I do most of my work, we work across the entire stack and are very service agnostic, but at the bottom of the stack is ML infrastructure. So helping customers build these models, like I mentioned, host these models in the best way, the most price performant way, which is really fascinating. To answer your question, right, where do foundational models really play? It's every layer of the stack.
All right, so what you're telling me here and telling the audience is they're sort of important, and you're sitting at the tip of the sphere with going around the world looking for the best ones that you can think about how you integrate into AWS to make available for builders.
Yeah, that's one function of the role, and it's really fascinating, right? Because we're truly looking at what we would call the entire model lifecycle, and so helping the customers build, helping the customers host, and then if there's an opportunity for commercialization and go to market, then helping those model providers work with AWS and partner with AWS. Correct.
All right. Super interesting. So what makes one model better for one role than another?
It's an interesting question. And candidly, I would say that part of our position, right, is to give our customers model choice. What's really amazing about the way that we've built our platform and a service like Bedrock and a service like SageMaker Jumpstart is we're making available to our customers the ability to adopt many different types of models and then do their own types of evaluation, their own benchmarking. Something that I've found is that no model will rule them all, right? There's no one model that's going to rule them all. And you may have heard this before from like Matt Wood at AWS or any of our other type leaders in generative AI as well. It's really interesting because what we're finding is many organizations are going to be evaluating multiple models based on the use case, right?
Yeah.
Maybe one model fits a specific search use case and one model fits a specific embeddings use case. They could be from multiple providers. AWS is making it possible for customers and partners as well, like Rackspace, to consume multiple models for their use case.
Right. Super interesting. So let's get into some specific examples. So I think what you've done a great job of helping us understand what the model is, how AWS is digging in and helping then customers adopt the right model for their solution or models, depending on what the end deliverable is. But let's talk some use cases here. What are some things that get you excited about AI in how companies are using AWS technologies?
Yeah, 100%. I think so. There's a couple different angles I would go at this, right? First on the application side and then on the model side itself.
Okay.
On the application side, For me, what's really, really interesting is specifically the use cases in healthcare life sciences. We're seeing some amazing case studies coming out, large health organizations who are doing new drug discovery, right? Or patient or large hospitals and large healthcare provider organizations who are doing patient record optimization. And with a service like HealthScribe, helping doctors actually save time and make their practice more efficient with annotating notes during patient visits, right? In financial services, we're seeing really good forecasting solutions that are coming out, and even in something like the PGA Tour, right? They're building a platform around how their customers, their viewers, are actually going to be interacting with their platform using generative AI, right? Which is really fascinating. And there's a fantastic case study I can send you on that afterwards as well.
Fantastic. So,
One more thing, though. On
yeah,
the
go ahead.
model,
Go ahead.
I mentioned HCLS already on the application side. Something that we're seeing, what's really, really cool on the model side itself, are how can specific types of models be developed to solve specific use cases, right?
Right.
We're seeing new types of models that it can solve physics problems and chemistry problems, right? Large mathematical reasoning models is what we would call these, right?
Yeah.
And there's also other types of models and also HCLS space, protein LLMs and large language models and large language models or foundational models built to actually help do discovery and research and innovation in life sciences. Specifically, one that I saw the other day, I read a research paper on Archive about was a new model that is they're planning on using to do cancer research discovery on it, which is really fascinating, right?
Yeah. It's just amazing when you think about the fact that a lot of this now, you and I, as practitioners in and around AI, know that AI, what was it first started worked on 1946, somewhere around 1943, somewhere around a long time ago. So this is not anything new, but the amount of capability that has along in just the past few years is astounding. And where I get really excited about is, well, backstory. There's a book out by a guy named Byron Reese. He's an interesting futurist. The book's called We Are Agora, talking about interesting things about the human race. But he makes a fascinating point, Ro, and that is that when new technology comes along, that really the only thing that we can see as humans at the onset is what goes away. So what are we afraid of? We're afraid of, well, what jobs are going away? Do we still need doctors if we talk health sciences and such? But the reality is that so much more capability and good comes from it than from really what actually goes away. And in the end, not a lot really ever goes away. So, we start talking about examples about specific large language models that are written for, trained for, tuned for specific use cases like how do we end cancer? I mean, how many presidents in the U.S. have come through saying this is the administration that's going to cure cancer? Turns out, will it be a large language model in the end?
Yeah, it may be, and it's
from Amazon.
Yeah, hopefully, right? It's so amazing because I think, especially with this new era that we're living in within generative AI, is the amount of innovation that we're seeing. I think many customers, many partners are starting to think more about their data strategy, just even to get into the AI ML space, right? That they may have not been thinking about before. And now it's just spurring so much just thought leadership and innovation and new use cases that are popping up every day. It's just so amazing. It's so fantastic.
Yeah, one of the things that excites me about AI is not necessarily AI itself, but the fact that everybody is so interested in it and wanting to find a way to have it make an impact in their business, that it has become the one catalyst that technologists like ourselves have been looking for. Well, bro, you're a little young, but for decades, trying to get people to do their cloud transformation, trying to get people to do their data modernization, all the things that technologists have been begging business leaders to do, but there hasn't been time or budget to do it in a lot of cases. But now, to be able to go do this, there's either technical debt that needs dealt with, or there is transformation that has to occur in order for this to adopt this type of a technology. So somebody who sits at the tip of the spear of this, how do you help, or what advice, let me put it this way, what advice do you have for customers in thinking about their data strategy or their technology and cloud strategy for how to set, in fact, let's say they don't get any AI this year, but they set the stage for 25. What work do they need to do today to be successful tomorrow?
Yeah, 100%. And Jeff, I appreciate the question. First, I believe that it starts with proper identification of the use case within the business, right?
Yeah.
Identifying the challenges that your organization faces, and then figuring out what would be the potential solution for it. A lot of times, I'll even say this, many people will even point towards generative AI as a first solve many times, and it probably is a solution there. But before we even get there, we need to make sure that, as you're saying, the foundations are built, right?
So what you're saying is to start with the why. Why are we trying to make an impact in our business? What in the business do we need to change or make more better, to use good English?
Exactly. And it's interesting, right? Well, like I mentioned before, we're giving customers model choice and being able to access all of these different models in a very easy and straightforward way over API for their applications. One of the things that I would mention is that if customers are going straight towards the model, right, before they identify the use case that they're trying to solve, oftentimes it would be very hard to solve that use case, right, or solve if there isn't even a why. And so I would definitely mention that start with the why and then start building the building blocks towards what it takes to actually solve that why. And organizational readiness and training and enablement, and even working with a partner like yourself at Rackspace is really important.
So, part of me wants to go, but I feel sort of sad because that's not playing with technology, is it? It's doing the work that needs to be done to be ready for technology to come in. The right technology, the right AWS technology to solve the problem. Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't throw technology at a problem and think it's going to get all better.
Yeah. And truly, what's amazing is that the increased efficiency and operational readiness, like I mentioned before, and just that generative AI will enable, it allows customers to it's almost like an exponential growth in innovation, if you think about it, right? They start working on these use cases. Let's say an enterprise identifies 75 use cases and prioritizes it based on business impact and the ROI. And that's definitely something I would recommend that they do. And then they can start tackling those use cases and put different leaders within their organization in charge of those use cases or to actually start tackling. And then that actually builds this culture, like this culture of innovation within the
culture of innovation.
Yep, exactly, which you've definitely heard before, I'm sure.
Absolutely. So, I give the example before of, you can't see around the corner and the new technology comes along and everyone's a little bit scared. But then when education happens, and we did a lot of that last year, just get everybody up to a foundational knowledge of AI, not data scientist level, but here are the tools, here are the capabilities, here's its background, here's the impact that it could have in a business. I was in a call that we host internally for all of Rackspace, and it is we were doing actually a science we call it a science fair, I think, effectively, and we had 3 winners of people just taking tech and finding how can we make life better at Rackspace for ourselves or for our customers. My favorite one. And this is both a cool thing and it's a tiny bit of a jab at AWS. The bills are challenging, Ro. The bills are challenging. Not the size, well, maybe the size, but the line items. What is this line? What is this obscure thing? What does it do? Why is it? What's happening? What was it last month? Why are there 50,000 of them? And last month there was less. We actually wrote an AI that now plugs into the console, into the billing section that pops up, and you can ask questions about your AWS bill. What is line item such and such? Well, this is what it is. This is the description of it. This is where you can get more information at AWS about it. What was it last month? Here's what it was last month, and really get some interesting data. And that's the kind of innovation that I love, because nobody came along with a project plan and said, "Hey, IT team, our customers are complaining. They're just going, I think we could use this to solve a problem."
Exactly. That's absolutely fantastic, and that's a great example of just even what may seem small in the larger grand scheme of things, but an amazing example of just a a process that you can change or something that you can use generative AI, a use case for generative AI just to improve someone's daily life, right, in their workplace. And so that's a fantastic. I'd love to learn more actually on that specifically.
Yeah, I now brag about it to all the customers I get to talk to. So, and I say, well, if you don't like your AWS bill and you can't read it, well, that's why you should come to Rackspace. So, Ro, we have a little bit of time left, and I would love to know, as I look at you and the amount of gray hair on my head and the amount on yours, you're a little younger in your career, but you advanced well at AWS. I would love a couple of hints. How for somebody newer in their career, what advice do you have for them? Maybe a couple of three nuggets, and I hope one of them is going to be mentorship because I know you've got some good ones. So
Yeah.
how can somebody younger in their career set their sights on a great technology career?
Yeah, 100%. And I'll start there, actually. I truly believe great mentorship and finding mentors who truly believe in you and will enable you to become the best version of yourself is extremely important in any type of career. And it can never start too early or never start too late as well, right? And one of the things I always say is it's super important to develop true professional relationships with your mentor where you're in trust with them, right? Being able to go bilaterally where they can share things with themselves and you can share things about yourself and they can help you in any aspect of your career and personal life, hopefully.
Yeah.
There's a principle that I've always lived my life by, and it is I don't even know where I got this. I may have read it in a book or heard it on TV or something like that. But every belief can be challenged, especially my own. And I think it's just a fantastic representation of the way I try to live my life and the way I've tried to build my career and things like that, especially and in college as well. Just it really, I think, points to the idea that things are always changing, and especially in generative AI, there's new innovations and new research and new academia that's coming out constantly. Your status quo, you should be fine with the status quo always changing, right?
Yeah.
And being able to work through ambiguity and being able and willing to learn new ideas and be challenged on your own ideas, right? Which I think is so important for growth. And then along the same lines, if I was going to give a third piece or let's say a second principle of mine, I always say to have an unlimited capacity for curiosity. Jeff, you
Oh,
probably know about Amazon's leadership principles. Learn and be curious is one of those, and it's truly one of my favorite ones. It motivates myself and the rest of my team and other colleagues to constantly be reading and learning and writing and doing all these amazing things. But I think curiosity is just so important with an industry and domain, the industry that we're in the domain of generative AI, with how fast the domain is moving and what our customers are really able to do with generative AI, you have to be able to be curious, right, and ask the
I
right
do.
questions and be able to be truly passionate about what you're learning about, which I think I am. I am.
I love those. Those are great examples. All right, so that's how we can help somebody in their career, even older folks like myself in their career. But also, now let's take it back to AI just as we get close to the end here, and let's talk about somebody who's just getting started. And so one of those foundational capabilities, you mentioned it before, is Bedrock. So let's go ahead and define what that is and how does somebody get started with it.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Jeff. So Bedrock is a managed service that gives customers access to a variety of foundational models over API. I'll say a little bit more about Bedrock in a second, but it's very straightforward to get started with the service. Truly, you can go make a AWS account and go to what's called the AWS Management Console, and then simply type in AWS Bedrock, and you will actually see guides on how to get access to specific models within the platform. And then simply you're then able to actually take an API and then build capabilities into your applications or build applications on top of that with the foundational models themselves. One of the things I'll mention on Bedrock was really fantastic and kind of goes back to the entire theme of what I was talking about, democratization of generative AI and model choice, and not one model will rule them all, is around the idea that we are offering and we're going to be offering more, right? And we're constantly looking at our ecosystem for models, some of the best models that are available for any customer, right? We have amazing models from Anthropic,
Yeah.
AI21 Labs, Amazon itself, Cohere, recently Mistral models as well, which I think, from a publicly available standpoint, those are very newsworthy recently, right? And then also stability as well.
I love that. That's fantastic. There's so much to learn there. And we talked about this before we went live, but one of the things I love about AI is the fact that it is moving so fast, and companies are not going through, oh my gosh, they're not even going through half-year development cycles, quarter development cycles. I mean, this is moving quick. So folks, if you aren't keeping up with your reading, keeping up with your YouTube channels, following Ro over on LinkedIn and keeping up with what he is posting and the information there. It's not too late, but I would encourage you to start now. I've got some great information I'd be happy to share that will give you a good primer in how to talk about AI with friends and family if you're not already ready to do that. But Ro, you started at the very beginning by talking about our partnership. Now here at Rackspace, we take AI very seriously. In fact, over the past 25 years, we've really lived by the mantra that technology is here to make companies better and make their lives better. And in the early days, that was managed hosting. It became cloud stuff. AWS is, well, one of your larger customers, if I might say, and partners. But ultimately, AI is now that latest thing, and we have a capability here, and it is called FAIR, the Foundry for AI at Rackspace. If you'd like to learn more about that, or even just take a free diagnostic to see the propensity that your organization has for adopting AI, well, just head over to fair.rackspace.com. Oh, look, there's a QR code on the screen, and it'll take you right there on your phone, but you keep your computer right here with us. But if you go to fair.rackspace.com, then you can learn so much more. Take that free diagnostic. There's a bunch of thought leadership content there. There's all sorts of video content there. If you want to engage with us to get into the process, well, we'd be happy to have that conversation too. It's as easy as a conversation. Starts with Ideate. That's really a conversation between your smart business people and technical people and smart rackers. We'll help come up with what the right those solutions are. And probably, my guess, Ro, we might even end up in an AWS tenant at some point.
Awesome. Great to hear, Jeff.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being a part of the program here this morning. I'd encourage you, again, head over to fair.rackspace.com, use the QR code, but maybe even more importantly, go follow Ro over on LinkedIn and keep up with what he and AWS are up to over there. So there's his information right down on the screen. Ro, have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you for joining us here today. Everyone, we'll be back next week with another episode of Cloud Talk Live, I think at 8:30 a.m. Central Time, but these days, who knows? Until then, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'm Jeff DeVerter, Chief Technology Evangelist for us here at Rackspace Technology, joined by Rohit, and we're glad you were with us today. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.